What's going on, guys? This is Mr. Crockpot.
You'll find I have many qualities for you to dislike.
I'm vengeance.
Wakanda forever!
Yo, what is happening, guys? Welcome to the Suit Up Geeks podcast. It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Today, we are breaking down Season 2 of The Mandalorian, the premiere episode. This is a spoiler review. If you haven't seen The Mandalorian, go watch it, come back, watch us again. But joining me today is my man, Loretto. You know him on Twitter at Marcellus Durden. What up, Lo?
Oh, it's finally Friday. TGIF. Had a long work week. I'm still getting settled into my new place, but what a wonderful surprise to wake up to a new episode of The Mandalorian. The best news this week.
The best. This is peak Mr. Crockpot, is waking up at 4 a.m. East Coast time, and I wrote a 1,000 plus word review over at Movies Matrix. Check out that article at moviesmatrix.com. But I did this with The Mandalorian. I did this with the Clone Wars. It's my blood. It's my heart. It's my soul. I love The Mandalorian. It started out strong, and today we are going to talk about our favorite takes. We're going to talk about our favorite moments, and we're going to grade it. And I guess I will lead us off because it's just me and Loretto today. But I got to start off with the return of Raylan Givens, baby. From one Marshall to the next, I am the biggest fan of Justified. It was hands down one of my favorite shows of all time. Having Raylan Givens be the lead of the premiere was pitch perfect. The second we see Timothy Oliphant take off his Mandalorian mask, I swear to you, dude, for a second there, I thought he was going to... Have you seen Justified?
I'm not a huge fan, but I remember when it was big, and I love Timothy Oliphant.
All right. I thought he was going to put on that famous, iconic cowboy hat. And that just a crazy moment, man. I completely geeked out. Justified is a show that has so many deep Western roots. The Mandalorian, we know it. Stone cold space Western. Talk about two shows that have some of the best character development as well. Even the title of the episode was The Marshal. So in some respects, I felt like I was getting a pat on the back by my man Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They were giving a salute to one of my favorite shows of all time. It was just a really cool moment. Sorry, Din Djarin. Raylan Givens is my first and will always be my first favorite Marshal. What about you, man? What was a favorite moment or takeaway of this episode?
I'm really glad you brought up Timothy Oliphant. I think he was definitely a highlight. I remember him mostly from Scream 2. He played Mickey, the other pair of the killers, along with Billy's mother. What I got to mention, though, is what stood out to me immediately with this episode, and maybe more so me and you versus others, but Ludwig Göransson's score. He took it up another level, and honestly, the score by now is like its own character. The score just was so of course, with the landscapes of Tatooine, but the score was just on another level this episode, and it really, really he had some slight nuances to the original theme. He had some new themes that were just so epic sounding, and it really took center stage, I think. And going back to Timothy Oliphant, I loved the fact that I think Favreau, with this episode, because this is his first time actually directing, even though he had his hand in helping showrun the series, this is his first time getting his fingerprints really on it, and you could tell from the start of what he wanted to portray. And I thought Filoni did a good job with the very, very, very first premiere, but going to this one, I love the setting of the town. I loved the whole premise of, I'm the sheriff of this town. Who are you? And then, Din Djarin's like, take the armor off, or I'll take it off of you or whatever. And the showdown, the classic, mano y mano kind of vibe. Yeah. What's up? You're a big gun. I'm a big gun, classic gunslinger type mentality. And also the town itself, you could replace those speeder bikes when they're riding them with horses. Like there's that shot where Timothy Oliphant and Din Djarin are flying together. Just replace it with horses, man. It's a straight Western. And going all the way to what's that thing called? What's the dragon called?
The Crate Dragon.
The Crate Dragon. Man, what a way to start off with a bang, man. My first thought, real quick, I'm going on a little long here, but my first thought when I saw the ground move, I was just like, Tremors!
Yes!
I was like, yes!
Like Kevin Bacon's running over here, Boyd Crowder's running over here. It's not a party, guys.
And if anyone's seen Tremors, like it's set in perfection, and like it's a small strip of land, like a small town, not much different from what we saw in the premiere. So all this stuff speaks to me: the Western, the monster, the banter between Din Djarin and I'm so sorry. What's Timothy the Oliphant character's name? Cade.
Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth. What's such a cool name? The banter between them two, just two badasses, just like flexing on each other. Just such a fun opener.
Yeah, I was just so happy. As a lover of Justified, I actually now I found out that they actually spoiled that Raylan Givens. I'm gonna keep calling him Raylan Givens. Timothy Oliphant was actually spoiled previously that he was in the show. I didn't know that. I try to stay somewhat in the dark regarding season 2. And I'm very happy for it because that was a very fun surprise for me. Let's go to the comments. We have Amanda joining. Thank you joining, Amanda. Check out Candid Simona. Go ahead. Yeah,
no, real quick, because I totally glossed over this because I was so excited to talk about Ludwig. When he walks in with the Boba helmet, I was like, Boba already? But then he talked, and I was like, is that Timothy Oliphant? Because I didn't know either. I didn't know either. He took his helmet off, dude. I was probably just like you. I geeked. I was like, oh, it's Timothy Oliphant.
The only thing I knew was how long the episode was and who was directing the episode. I didn't know what the episode title was. And that's why I led off with Raylan Givens, because the title of the show is The Marshal. Like, they were giving clear nods to Justified. Amanda says, Timothy Oliphant's supremacy. Loving the dedication dives. Thank you. I just got done going trick-or-treating with my daughter for the first time. It was a riot. It was so much fun. Oh gosh. So I'm representing Disney, I guess. I got the Yoda hat, the incredible Mr. Incredible costume.
Hey, Dives, the word around the campfire is your daughter was the child?
She was Jack, or I will say Eva. So
I thought you had a Yoda costume for her.
No, we went with the Incredibles.
Okay.
It was just warmer. It was cold here. So we went with we made a game time decision and went with the Incredibles.
Okay.
Yeah, you touched on it. I'm not calling The Mandalorian in terms of visuals and film score Lord of the Rings, but it's some of the vibes I get when you see them like on the speeder bike, the child, and Din Djarin like traversing the sandy dunes of Tatooine, and the same kind of feeling I have when you see Sam and Frodo and all your favorite characters of Lord of the Rings traversing Mordor. Like, that was kind of like the vibe I get. That's where we're going. And it is way immature to say that The Mandalorian is even remotely close to the tier of Lord of the Rings. But if we're talking like 4 or 5 seasons and we're looking back on this, it could be there. The potential is absolutely there. Another one of my takeaways was something I talked about. You were there too. And it's something that I discussed in my season 1 reviews during our season 1 podcast, that The Mandalorian is Skyrim. It is essentially a glorified Western RPG. You know, we see Mando, Din Djarin, the main character, essentially all throughout season 1, get a mission. It's a side mission. Meet some really fun characters. Complete the mission. Get some loot. Season 2 continued with that trend. What do we see with Mando? He's in a random, village off the beaten path. He meets some fun characters. And what happens? He gets some kick-ass loot from Boba Fett. So that was kind of like a nod. That was like one of my theories I went over and over and over again during season 1. Like, I swear they're ripping stories straight out of Skyrim or The Witcher or some
It
shit.
looks like he got a year's full of steak. That was a big chunk of meat.
Was the Great Dragon. How cool was it to see another takeaway? We have to talk about it. Like, we go from season 1 of The Mandalorian, where you see Din Djarin as this like cold, stone cold, stoic, emotionless bounty hunter, to now, like, he's stuck up for the Tusken Raiders. Like, you never would have seen that from Din Djarin in season 1. It was just really, really just a salute to how far these characters have come. While Din Djarin has come. Was it a negative that we didn't get anything from Baby Yoda? Any thoughts on that?
I was actually gonna wait till we get there, but yeah, honestly, it kind of was. It definitely brings down, like, when we get to the final score, brings it down for me a tad bit. I was hoping to see at least some kind of interaction. The only really thing we saw was from what we saw in the teaser when he closes his little cradle. But other than that, we didn't get much interaction. It's just him smiling and walking and nodding his head and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that was definitely a disappointment.
All right. The other disappointment I had, and I don't think is justified, pun intended, because I think Jon Favreau and I think Dave Filoni are going to crush it, absolutely nail it. We saw this first episode is 54 minutes long. In the season 1, there were some episodes that were like 23 minutes long, which was kind of crazy. But there is a lot on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's plate here. There is no doubt the budget is bigger. The universe is bigger. We're seeing the seeds planted for season 2 of The Mandalorian to start expanding the Star Wars universe on Disney Plus and beyond. And I don't know, but I am fairly certain the first part of season 2 of The Mandalorian was the Outer Rim. And that was our first glimpse of the High Republic and what that could mean moving forward. We're going to do some pods on that. I'm hopefully of Light of the Jedi, the novel that's coming out in January, which will really deep dive into Outer Rim. So I think they're going to crush it. But my only concern, I mean, you have Ahsoka Tano, you have Sabine Wren, all Boba Fett, which was revealed. We'll talk about it in a second. But my fear is, we're talking about critiques. My fear is that there's so much happening in this season that we're really not gonna. That's gonna hinder the development of Baby Yoda and Din Djarin. Is that a fair critique?
Yeah, but to your point though, you actually brought it up a moment ago. I like that we kind of see him evolving as a leader. I think he took charge in this episode, the way he was delegating between the Tuskens and the villagers. I thought that was kind of interesting. And it was also, it's so cool how he like can speak their language and stuff like that. He understands their culture. He understands them as a people, but he also understands how to speak to the villagers. And I think it was cool to see him take on that leadership role. I think you're right. We're definitely might see their relationship maybe take a back seat, which is a little bit disappointing. But at the same time, it's hard to speak too soon, you know, like, because I didn't think we were going to get Boba Fett episode 1. So, to that point, maybe there's a lot more to their relationship that we just haven't seen yet.
And are we 100% sure that's Boba Fett?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, I highly doubt it's anybody from the Clone Wars era, but I mean, it's definitely Tamora Morrison.
I was talking to my buddy over here, and he was like, I would die. We talk about twists of this show. I would die if that was Captain Rex. And they were like, because that leads, you know, they're besties with Ahsoka Tano. Like, if that was Captain Rex, I would absolutely just. I
don't know the genetics of the clones, but I mean, can they live that long? Like, he'd be really old.
Yeah,
his growth was accelerated by the Kamonians. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go to the comments. So happy you guys had fun. Thank you, Amanda. Creature designs are so wicked too. It looks like great in season 1, but that dragon looked unreal. The budget is absolutely crazy compared to season 1. It felt like I was watching a Hollywood big budget film. Baby Yoda closing up his little cradle and dipping once the fight broke. Yo, how great was that action scene in the beginning? Like, I loved how the little nods to the Beskar steel, the armor, when he was actually using it as a part of his choreography. I thought that was really fun. We saw the whistling birds. We saw the whistling birds come back.
You know what I love too was that someone threw a punch at him and he just pretty much put his head down and the dude just punched him.
It was great.
Just like such a badass like you can't touch me kind of vibe, you know, just like.
What was your reaction to Boba Fett? Like, tell me your feelings with that.
Immediately, I was joking with you guys in the chat. I put the Leonardo DiCaprio, the pointing gif from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was literally me when that last final 2 seconds came up. I was just like, Tamara Morrison. I was just like, oh, man. And it's just like, you know, like being a longtime fan, especially a fan of the Boba Fett character, Jango Fett as well, which he did an amazing job in Attack of the Clones. I think that was one of the most underrated moments in Attack of the Clones. Tamara Morrison himself is a great actor, by the way. I was just so hyped. I'm, you know, this is like one of those things where he's the original. Like before the Mandalorian, it was Boba Fett, and you know, before Mando, you know, Boba Fett was like stocked on the shelves. Like that was the hot toy. He had the jetpack and you know, he was the original. So it's just kind of cool to see that. Kind of like that nod, like, you know, the fact that they put him into the story, I think, is important. Some people might say, oh, it's fan service, oh, it's nostalgia. Get over it. Like, this is awesome. Like, you know, if a kid from the 80s, if you told them in 2020 we would have a show about the Mandalorian clans and their culture, the kid in the 80s would lose his mind. He would freak out. He'd be like, holy shit, you're lying. Like, you know, so I think, you know, maybe we're a little spoiled now with Solo, with Rogue One, with the sequel trilogy. We hate it or love it, but kids in the 80s would never fathom how far we've come and how good this is. This is really well written, well shot, and the budget is it's movie quality, cinema quality, like you were saying. What's not to love? If you're really a Star Wars fan, you shouldn't have anything to complain about.
Yeah, not about this. Not about this. Not in Dave Filoni we trust. Am I right?
Hell yeah. Amen, brother.
So I want to go back a little bit. Because in Chapter 5, the Gunslinger, we saw at the very end of that episode, I think Fennec Shan was lying dead. I think it was Fennec. But we saw the boot. Are we confirming that was Boba Fett? Or was that Cobb Vanth? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I heard some whispers that it was Moff Gideon.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
So it's just interesting because he has a cape too. And I don't know. This is why I'm so excited. I feel like I like the fact that I can't predict what's going to happen because that's one of my least favorite things when I watch a series or when I watch a film, when I can see what's coming. And I am just like I am relishing the fact that I can't predict. It makes this really fun and it makes our discussions fun because like, who knows which way they go, but I'm leaning towards, when I first saw that episode, my first instinct was Boba Fett.
Okay.
I didn't even know Moff Gideon was going to come into the picture until later. So I would say 50% right now. I would say 50% Boba, 50% who knows.
I think the biggest takeaway was the progression of Din Djarin as a character. I mean, you look at the difference between season 1 and season 2 of the premieres. It is vast. We have Mr. Knight joining. He says Boba Fett returns. So thanks for joining, Mr. Knight. Boba Fett is back 100%. I'm just kind of playing around. It's probably not Captain Rex, but that's like a pipe dream. Where do you see season 2 or episode 2 going after this? Any thoughts? Any guesses?
Well, it definitely establishes that we'll still be in Tatooine, I suppose, right? Or is Boba Fett going to go on a goose chase? It's kind of interesting.
All right.
But I think I'm just assuming here. I think we might see Grief Karga next episode.
Okay.
Or is that too soon?
I don't think it's too soon at all. I have a sneaky suspicion that Boba Fett is going to save Baby Yoda and Din Djarin at some point. He's going to kind of be like on the trail, and that's in some manner, just like we saw in season 1 when we saw all the jetpacks fly in and save the Mandalorian. I think we're going to see that again. I think there's going to be a situation where Boba Fett actually saves the day. Is that wrong?
You know what? I just had a thought. I think what'd be interesting for me too is especially like because I'm thinking about like Clone Wars and Rebels, and I mean we didn't really see his personality in Empire and Return of the Jedi, but I'm really interested to see how Tamora Morrison plays this character and what kind of attitude does he have? Because I remember, to be honest, Boba Fett was a little bit of an a-hole in the Clone Wars series. I know he was trying to avenge his dad's death, but he was a snarky little fart. He was like, I do what I want. You know, you can't tell me what to do. And it's like, he's not even really established as a real bounty hunter yet. I'm curious to see this older take on Boba, because this is not Captain Rex. This is not Jango Fett. So it's going to be interesting how he plays this role now. Is he going to be cool? Is he going to be a dick still? Like,
yeah, I did a character power rankings for Movies Matrix where I did like season 2 predictions, and one of those was Moff Gideon. We haven't even seen Moff Gideon, who we know is the true villain of this season. And if I was a betting man, I thought for sure we would see some sort of flashback with Bo-Katan, whether how Moff Gideon obtains the Darksaber and whether that means she's killed, or maybe that evolves into the reveal, maybe like 5 or 6 episodes down the line. Oh shit, the armor is actually Bo-Katan. We didn't really see any of that. So I'm hoping to see some old characters return, not the old lady at Mos Eisley. Although she's really cool, but like I want to see the armor back. I want to see Grief Karga back, Cara Dune back, all that kind of stuff. Amanda says, would you give Oliphant his own spin-off show? Any thoughts on that?
Why not? He's got charisma. He's got the charm. He's got the chops. He carried his own show. And to be fair, I liked his character in this series. I think it'd be fun, but at the same time, I wonder how many stories you can tell if he's stuck in that village. So, I mean, I would like to see him, if he does get his own show, I would like to see him go off into space and, travel to other places and have adventures. So, but at the same time, would it be a retreat of what Din Djarin's doing? So,
yeah. My first thought would have like a droid come on featuring the voice of Walter Goggins of a Boyd Crowder. That would be so funny. That would be
awesome. Walter Goggins is a saint. That guy is so fantastic. He's super underrated. Not enough people talk about him. That guy's awesome.
All right. How would you grade the show? Episode 1 of season 2.
To be fair, I mean, geek out moments and score and just cinematic qualities aside, I was very disappointed we didn't get much interaction between the child and Mando. I felt like, I know it's a standalone story, kind of like it's a little bit of a filler episode, to be honest.
Yeah.
Kind of just reacclimating ourselves into this series, into the spirit of this show. But I just felt like besides Boba Fett, which was nice, those 2 seconds, I was left wanting more, which is probably the point. But I think for a 50-minute episode, I thought we would get a little bit more. I thought we would see Moff Gideon. I thought we would, maybe at the end, he sees Grief Karga. Because I keep remembering in the trailer when he asks for their help, he's like, I got to return him to his kind. And he shakes Grief Karga's hand and Cara Dune's there. I thought we were going to get there already. And we're still on Tatooine. We fought some monster that I didn't even realize was going to be in the show. So I was wanting more. I'll give it a solid 8, a strong 8. I was leaning 8.5, but to be fair, I think my expectations were too high, maybe. But yeah, a solid 8 for me.
That's exactly what I gave it in my review. I gave it 8.5. I can't ignore how visually, how the vibe, the tone, how pitch perfect the show is. It really continued from season 1. I gave it an 8.5 on my review, but it, like I said, less is more sometimes. As great as those action scenes were, as really impressive this series continues to be, balancing the CGI effects, the practical effects. The banthas looked awesome. I love the way the banthas look in the show. That poor bantha, I feel bad. The bantha was like, all I thought about was like the goat in Jurassic Park when they're feeding it to the T-Rex. I'm like, that poor goat. Like, I feel bad for that goat. I said the same
know-
thing with the bantha.
I actually, again, because I got so excited to talk about this, I'm like glazing over things. You know what was so cool? It was so cool when they were actually like in the fight with the monster. Seeing Cobb and Din Djarin fly off together with their jetpacks respectively. So freaking awesome. Like I can't get enough of Mandalorian, like Mandalorian's in battle, even though Cobb's not really one.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of that. And honestly, shouts out to you. I really liked that how in your piece on moviesmatrix.com, go read it if you haven't. I love that you brought up Starship Troopers. And it's like, I don't know if Favreau is a fan of either franchise, but I got Tremors vibes, you got Starship Troopers vibes, and that whole monster part of it just really added an extra layer to the Western vibe we were already getting, which just makes everything more fun. Like, I think in that case, the more they were doing with this episode, I mean, there's more than meets the eye there. So
I called in my review Din Djarin the new Johnny Rico,
I saw
because
that.
pound for pound, like bug to bug, that was the best bug I've seen to have an acid spit since the tanker in Starship Troopers. Paul Verhoeven is a king of sci-fi. That
Hell
guy
yeah.
is
And shout out to
amazing.
Michael Ironside. He's such a badass sergeant.
Yeah.
I like he was like, "Where'd you learn how to do that, son?" And then Johnny's like, "Football, sir. I was captain of the team."
I was waiting for like Din Djarin to walk over to the dead Krayt Dragon and be like, "The only good bug is a dead bug."
Nice. I smell a Starship Troopers pod somewhere in our future, dude. I love that movie so much.
So underrated. So that is a great film. Would you like to know more? Anyway, make sure you check out my Mandalorian review over at moviesmatrix.com. Check out and subscribe here at the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Make sure you follow the Suit Up Geeks podcast on Twitter at the Suit Up Geeks. Follow my man Loretto at Marcellus Durden. Anything you want to plug, dude?
Well, going from one action-packed set of series and characters, next weekend is our action movie draft. It's going to be 2 nights. It's going to be on the Movies Matrix channel. Check us out on YouTube. You can find trailer reactions, other drafts. We just finished our horror draft, and I am so excited for this. I actually started a marathon. It may or may not be on my team. I'm not sure. I started a marathon of a specific director,
All right.
and it's been a blast. I also got to see a film 2 nights ago that I hadn't seen, and it's highly regarded. And to be fair, it's probably going to be one of my first 2 picks. It is one of the best action films I've ever seen. I'm not going to say it on air. I don't want anybody stealing it from me, because I think AJ and I think Ryan's on my night too, right? So, and Sean, I think between AJ and Sean, we're going to be battling for some stuff. We like some similar style films, and we're going to go deep. Or at least I know I am. I'm going to do some deep cuts, old school, new school. Yep. There's a lot of movies I like. I'd say 80% of my team will probably be off the board, to be fair.
It's awesome. My buddy Ryan is here again. And he picks like 2 picks before me. And
Nice.
We've grown up together. 1 pick before. Is it 1 pick?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's 1 pick.
Ryan H, what's up, man?
He's doing this. But he knows me to the core. He's gonna take every single movie away from me because he knows exactly where I'm going. You know exactly where I'm going. I'm just
going back to the plug. What time does the draft start?
Draft is 8 p.m. Eastern time on November 7th, November 8th, over at the Movies Matrix YouTube channel. We're streaming live. Please join. Trash talk on all of Loretto's picks, not mine, because mine are perfect. And vote for my team, not Loretto's. So it's going to be really fun. We're doing 10 teams again. No, 20 teams. We're doing 20 teams. 20 teams. A draft where on Movies Matrix Twitter, you can vote for your favorite collection of teams. We haven't even decided how many rounds we're going. I'm not sure where to go with that yet because there's so many action movies. It's like the horror draft. It is so deep. Like This might be deeper than the horror draft.
Yeah.
It
I was
probably
gonna say, I think this particular draft, with how dense we can go, I think it would benefit from a 6-round draft. If
yeah.
I'm being honest, but we'll see how everyone takes it.
Yeah. We need to make that decision pretty quickly because we're almost a week away. All right, let's wrap it up. For Loretto, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Hang out.